Hey everybody. Sorry I'm a little late to the party. I haven't been home all day, so I haven't done any new videos yet. But I expect a slew of videos coming up now. I'm obviously home, and I have been tracking all the signings so far, so I am on top of everything. I just got to get everything recorded and uploaded. But this is the first one. Obviously, the biggest news of the day, the biggest free agent. We've been talking about this for weeks now. John Tavares. John Tavares is a Toronto Maple Leaf. 7 years, $11 million annual contract value. Um, Tavares is a Maple Leaf, along with Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, and all the other stars up in Toronto. Toronto is stacked now, especially as far as being top heavy. They've lost Bozak, they've lost Van Riemsdyk, but they brought in the biggest fish in the sea this year, John Tavares. This is obviously a huge deal for Toronto. This was everybody's guy that they wanted, and Toronto got him. Thought he was going to go to San Jose, but obviously that didn't happen. He is now a Toronto Maple Leaf, and that's got to make Toronto, one of the favorites. Adding him, although when you look at Toronto's issues last year were on the back end. It's their defense that was the problem. It was their defense why they lost in the first round of the playoffs, and this doesn't help their defense at all. They still are severely lacking on the back end, and this is a huge amount of cap space to take up with one player when you still have other holes to fill on the back end. And you look at Tavares. Yes, Tavares is by far the best player available in free agency this year, but he's not even a point per game player as in the NHL, and he's certainly not a one man player who's going to completely, carry a team by himself to deep into the playoffs. He's an elite franchise player, but he's not. I don't think he's as spectacular as some people have made it out to be, or that he's made it out, or that it's been made out to be with him on the market in this whole saga going on about where he's going to go. John Tavares is not Connor McDavid. John Tavares is not Sidney Crosby. He is not a generational player like that. He is an elite player, but he is not a Crosby or McDavid. He's a Stamkos. He's a whoever else you want to put with Stamkos and those kind of players in that, just one notch below. Claude Giroux, guys like that. So Tavares isn't going to come in and automatically make Toronto, a guarantee to win the Stanley Cup. You look at where he was last year with the Islanders. The Islanders last year had a great forward group. They were very suspect on defense, and they got bad goaltending. Goaltending's not an issue with Toronto, so that's a huge plus there. Toronto has a Frederik Andersen, who is a very good number one starting goaltender in the NHL. They are fine in net, but they still have defensive problems, just like the Islanders did. Now, I would say Toronto's defense is a little bit ahead of where the Islanders were last year, but that's still a weakness on the team, and this doesn't fix that. So you can't just come out and say that Toronto is guaranteed to run away with the East now and go all the way to the Stanley Cup. Also, look at the Atlantic Division now. It is extremely stacked, and it's very top-heavy for sure, but the top four teams there are absolutely loaded. You have Tampa Bay, who won the division last year. You have Boston, who finished one point behind them. You have Toronto now, who was the third-place team and a 100-point team last year, and now they've added the best player available. And you have Florida, who almost made the playoffs last year and are on the rise and should make the playoffs this year. So you have four very, very good teams in the Atlantic Division now. With, Tampa Bay is still an elite level team. Boston They had an unbelievable year last year that no one really saw coming. Now they're expected to do that. They have a really good team still. And now you have Toronto with John Tavares added. So this is a huge deal for the Toronto Maple Leafs and for the league as a whole. But the Atlantic Division now, everyone talks about how good the Metropolitan is and how stacked it is with, teams like Pittsburgh, Washington, Philly. You had Columbus and New Jersey were good last year. I mean, the Rangers aren't good anymore, but they were, have been in the past, recent past. The Atlantic is giving the Metro is giving every division a run for its money as far as best division, at least with the top teams. The Atlantic now is set up where you have very good teams up here and very bad teams down here. And the Metro is more everybody's kind of pretty good. And then when you go out west, you have the Pacific, which is just wide open right now. You have no idea what's going to happen there. And the Central is kind of set up like the Metro, where you have a good, some really good teams like Nashville and Winnipeg. Or Winnipeg, that's a team that I'm going to talk about later. They're in trouble not bringing back Paul Stastny. Or not that they didn't want to bring him back, but him not coming back. But that's for another video. The Central is set up a lot like the Atlantic, where you have the top like that, and then the bottom, although their bottom is kind of Metro-like, where it's not as bad as the Atlantic's bottom. But anyway, this changes the whole landscape of the league. This changes everything in the Eastern Conference. This makes Toronto a very real Stanley Cup threat. I would like to see them do something with their defense, add something to the back end, but that's going to be tough now with this cap hit. And now you're going to have to pay Austin Matthews, you're going to have to pay Mitch Marner, William Nylander. You have all these young kids who are blossoming into very, very highly skilled NHL players. You're going to have to pay all of them while still paying Tavares $11 million a year. That is going to be tough to do. So they have some interesting roster decisions to make, but they got their guy. John Tavares is now a Toronto Maple Leaf. Huge news in the NHL. Huge, just changes a lot and really boosts Toronto's chances of winning a Stanley Cup in the near future. So that's the John Tavares news. I've got a whole slew of videos coming up that I'm going to record right after this, so be ready for those. I'll talk about a lot more signings that have happened, because a lot of signings have happened. I'll talk about teams that I think have done well in free agency, teams that haven't, and there's just so much to talk about on July 1. Haven't even gotten into trades yet. Not that I'm aware of. I haven't checked my phone in like half an hour, but that I'm aware of, no major trades have gone down. But with free agency settling today for the most part, and everyone getting an idea of who's going where, I believe that the trade market will heat up after kind of all the big guys have signed and everyone knows where they're going. Then we'll have teams, really go hunting on the trade market. So be prepared for that. Thank you for watching this video, and please be ready for much more to come. Like, comment, share, subscribe to this channel, please. If you like hockey at all, this channel has something for everyone, so please hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Whole bunch more coming.